Maya Chen wiped the sweat from her forehead as she finished checking the moisture sensors in the underground greenhouse. The abandoned mining station on Kepler 442b had become her home 3 years ago, after the colony ship carrying her family suffered catastrophic engine failure. She was the only survivor among the 200 souls aboard. The planet's twin suns cast an orange glow through the thick atmosphere, creating perpetual twilight. Most humans would find this world hostile, but Maya had learned to adapt. The mining equipment left behind by the previous corporate expedition provided basic life support, and she had managed to grow enough food to survive in the hydroponic gardens she had built in the lower levels. Today felt different, though. The seismic sensors had been picking up unusual vibrations for the past week. Not the regular tectonic activity she had grown accustomed to, but something else, something that moved with purpose. As she climbed the maintenance ladder to the surface level, a sound made her freeze. It was high-pitched, almost like crying, but with an odd harmonic quality that made her teeth ache. The sound came again, definitely from outside the station. Maya grabbed her environmental suit and cycled through the airlock. The atmosphere was breathable but thin, and the temperature fluctuations could be deadly without protection. She followed the sound around the station's main structure, past the defunct mining extractors and toward a cluster of crystalline formations that had always reminded her of Earth's coral reefs. There, nestled between two towering crystal spires, she found them. Two creatures, each about the size of a large dog, covered in what looked like metallic scales that shifted color in the strange light. They had elongated necks, powerful haunches, and wings that seemed too small for their bodies. But it was their eyes that stopped Maya cold. Intelligent eyes, ancient beyond their apparent youth, filled with pain and hunger. Dragons. She was looking at baby dragons. One of them lifted its head weakly as she approached. Its scales, which had been a dull bronze, suddenly flared to bright gold. The other remained motionless, its breathing shallow and labored. Both were painfully thin, their ribs visible beneath their hide. Maya's heart clenched. She knew what it was like to be alone and starving on an alien world. Without thinking, she knelt down slowly, keeping her movements gentle and non-threatening. The conscious dragon baby watched her with wary curiosity. When she extended her hand, it sniffed cautiously, then made a sound that was almost like a purr. The universal language of a hungry child. She hurried back to the station and gathered what food she could spare. Protein bars, dried fruits, even some of the synthetic meat substitutes she had been saving for special occasions. When she returned, both dragon babies were awake, though the second one could barely lift its head. Maya broke the protein bars into small pieces and offered them to the first dragon. It sniffed the food suspiciously, then took a tentative bite. Its eyes widened in what she could only interpret as surprise and gratitude. Soon it was eating eagerly, and she was able to coax the weaker one to take some food as well. As they ate, Maya noticed something remarkable. The dragon's scales began to brighten and shift color, cycling through deep blues, emerald greens, and warm golds. It was as if the food was literally bringing color back to their bodies. The stronger dragon finished eating first and did something that nearly made Maya fall backward. It pressed its snout gently against her gloved hand and made a sound that was unmistakably affectionate. Then it turned to its companion and began grooming the smaller dragon's scales with obvious care. Maya realized these weren't just intelligent creatures. They were family, and she had just become part of their survival story. She spent the rest of the day bringing them water and more food, setting up a basic shelter using salvaged materials from the mining station. The dragons watched her work with keen interest, occasionally making soft sounds that seemed almost like suggestions. When she struggled to secure a piece of metal sheeting against the wind, the larger dragon actually helped by holding it steady with its claws. As the twin suns began to set, casting the crystal formations in deep purples and reds, Maya sat with her unexpected companions. The stronger dragon had curled up next to her, its warm scales providing comfort in the cooling air. The smaller one slept peacefully for the first time since she had found them, its breathing finally steady and deep. Maya looked up at the alien stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. For 3 years she had been completely alone, talking to herself just to hear a human voice. Now she had company, and not just any company. She had saved 2 magnificent creatures that seemed to understand kindness and return it tenfold. She had no idea that her simple act of compassion had just changed the course of galactic history. Somewhere in the depths of space, ancient sensors were detecting the life signs of the missing young ones. Somewhere far away, a civilization older than human recorded history was mobilizing. The dragons she had fed were not just any dragons. They were the offspring of the Dragon Empress herself, lost during a scouting mission that had gone wrong. And now, after 7 days of searching the Outer Rim territories, the dragon fleet had finally found them. Maya fell asleep that night with 2 dragon babies curled around her for warmth, completely unaware that in 6 days, her quiet mining station would become the center of the most important first contact in human history. Maya woke to the sound of contented rumbling. The 2 dragon babies had grown noticeably stronger overnight, their scales now shimmering with vibrant colors that seemed to pulse with internal light. The smaller one, which she had started thinking of as Pip, was actually attempting to flutter its tiny wings. The larger one, whom she called Ember for its golden coloring, was already exploring the makeshift shelter she had built. Over the next few days, Maya fell into a routine that felt more natural than anything she had experienced since arriving on this planet. She would tend to her greenhouse in the morning, always with 2 curious dragons following her around like oversized cats. They seemed fascinated by everything she did, from checking the hydroponic systems to monitoring the atmospheric processors. Pip had appointed itself her personal shadow, rarely straying more than a few feet from her side. Ember was more adventurous, often bringing her strange gifts from around the mining station. Crystalline formations that hummed with energy, metallic ore samples that seemed to glow from within, and once, memorably, a piece of ancient machinery that she had never seen before despite 3 years of exploring every corner of the facility. The dragons learned quickly. By the 3rd day, they understood her daily routines and would anticipate her needs. When she struggled to reach a high storage compartment, Ember would position itself so she could climb on its back. When she worked late into the evening, Pip would curl up nearby and provide warmth with its naturally elevated body temperature. But it was their communication that truly amazed her. The dragons had a complex language of sounds, from musical trills that seemed to express joy to low harmonic tones that felt like comfort itself. More remarkably, they were beginning to understand human speech. When Maya said food, both dragons would immediately look toward the storage area. When she said sleep, they would settle down and wait for her to join them. Maya found herself talking to them constantly, explaining her work, her thoughts, even her memories of Earth and the family she had lost. The dragons listened with an attention that felt genuinely engaged, their large eyes tracking her movements and their heads tilting in ways that suggested deep understanding. On the 4th day, something extraordinary happened. Maya was working on repairing a water recycling unit when she hit her hand on a sharp piece of metal. She cried out in pain and frustration, and immediately both dragons were at her side. But instead of just offering comfort, Ember did something that made Maya question everything she thought she knew about these creatures. The dragon gently took her injured hand between its claws and breathed on it. Not fire, as she might have expected, but a warm silver mist that seemed to shimmer with its own light. Where the mist touched her cut, the pain immediately disappeared. When Ember pulled back, the wound was completely healed, leaving only clean, unmarked skin. Maya stared at her hand in shock. Healing abilities were the stuff of fantasy stories, not reality. But the evidence was right there in front of her. She looked up at Ember, who was watching her with what she could only describe as gentle amusement, as if surprised it had taken her so long to realize what they were capable of. That evening, as they settled down for sleep, Maya made a decision that felt both terrifying and inevitable. She activated the mining station's long-range communication array, something she had been too afraid to use since her arrival. If these dragons were as extraordinary as they seemed, others of their kind might be looking for them. She recorded a simple message. "This is Maya Chen, sole survivor of the colony ship New Horizon, transmitting from mining station designation KP-4427. I have encountered 2 young members of what appears to be a highly intelligent draconic species. They are safe and well cared for. If anyone is receiving this transmission and searching for them, please respond." She broadcast the message on all frequencies and in multiple languages, then settled down between her 2 companions to wait. The 5th day brought changes that made Maya's heart race with excitement and concern. Both dragons had grown visibly larger, their scales now containing colors she had never seen before. Deep purples that seemed to contain galaxies, silvers that moved like liquid mercury, and golds that felt warm even from a distance. More concerning was their behavior. Both Pip and Ember spent increasing amounts of time staring at the sky, their heads tilted in identical poses of listening. They made soft, complex sounds that felt like calling, though Maya couldn't tell what they might be calling to. On the 6th day, her communication array crackled to life with an incoming transmission. But when Maya rushed to the control panel, she found something that made her blood run cold. The message wasn't in any human language she recognized. Instead, it was a complex series of harmonics and tonal variations that sounded remarkably similar to the sounds her dragon companions made. Ember and Pip heard the transmission and immediately became agitated, pacing around the communication station and making urgent sounds. Their scales flashed in rapid patterns that seemed almost like a light-based language. Maya realized with growing certainty that the message was meant for the dragons, not for her. Someone was coming for them. The question was whether that someone would see her as a protector to be thanked or an obstacle to be removed. As the 6th day turned to evening, Maya made preparations she hoped she would never need. She charged every energy cell in the station, activated all defensive systems the mining operation had been equipped with, and made sure she had easy access to the emergency evacuation pod. But she also prepared a very different kind of welcome. She cooked the best meal she could manage with her limited supplies, laid out blankets and heating units to make the main bay as comfortable as possible, and practiced the simple words of greeting she had learned in several galactic trade languages during her academy training. That night, as she lay between two purring dragons who seemed to sense that tomorrow would bring great changes, Maya Chen faced the reality that her quiet life as a planetary hermit was about to end. The question was, what would begin in its place? Maya woke on the 7th day to a sound that made her heart stop. Deep, rhythmic vibrations were coming through the ground itself, accompanied by a low harmonic hum that seemed to resonate in her bones. Pip and Ember were both awake, standing perfectly still with their heads raised toward the ceiling, their scales cycling through rapid patterns of gold and silver. She climbed the ladder to the observation deck and looked up through the transparent aluminum dome. What she saw nearly made her lose her grip on the ladder rungs. The sky was full of ships, not ships in any design she recognized from human engineering. These vessels seemed to be grown rather than built, with organic curves that flowed like living things. Their hulls shifted color like dragon scales, and they moved through the atmosphere with a grace that defied the laws of physics as Maya understood them. The largest ship was magnificent beyond description. Nearly a kilometer long, it resembled a massive dragon in flight, complete with wing-like projections that seemed to catch and redirect the planet's strange light. As Maya watched, it began to descend toward the mining station with deliberate, stately movements. Maya's hands shook as she activated the station's external communication system. Before she could speak, a voice filled the communication bay. It was deep, melodious, and spoke perfect standard galactic with an accent that sounded like music itself. "Small guardian of the lost ones, we greet you. I am Commander Aurelius of the Dragon Fleet, speaking for Her Imperial Majesty the Dragon Empress. We have come for the young ones you have protected." Maya swallowed hard and keyed the microphone. "This is Maya Chen. Pip and Ember are safe and well. They've been wonderful companions." There was a pause, and then something that might have been gentle laughter. "Pip and Ember? These are names you have given them?" "I had to call them something," Maya said, feeling suddenly defensive. "They seem to like the names." "Indeed. We can hear their joy through the bond they share with all of our kind. They speak of your kindness, small guardian. They call you the gentle one who feeds dragons." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "They can really communicate with you, even from this distance?" "Dragons are never truly alone, Maya Chen. We are bound by connections deeper than space itself. The young ones have told us much about you, how you found them weak and starving, how you shared your food though you had little, how you built them shelter and spoke to them with words of comfort, how you healed their spirits when their bodies were failing." The massive ship settled onto the rocky plain near the mining station with surprising gentleness. As Maya watched through the observation dome, a section of the ship's side began to open like a flower, revealing an interior that glowed with soft, warm light. "We would speak with you face to face. Maya Chen, will you come aboard our vessel? You may bring the young ones, of course." Maya looked down at Pip and Ember, who were both watching her with expectant eyes. Their scales had settled into patterns of warm gold and gentle blue that she had learned meant contentment and trust. "Will I be able to come back to the station?" she asked. "That depends on what you choose after we have spoken," Commander Aurelius replied. "But yes, if that is your wish, you may return to this place." Maya took a deep breath and made her decision. She gathered a few personal items, sealed the station systems, and walked to the airlock with her two dragon companions practically bouncing with excitement beside her. The walk across the rocky ground to the dragon ship felt like crossing between worlds. As they approached the open entrance, Maya could see figures moving inside. Tall humanoid shapes that seemed to shimmer between human and something else entirely. The interior of the ship was unlike anything Maya had ever imagined. The walls seemed to be made of living crystal that pulsed with gentle light. The floors had the texture of smooth stone but gave slightly under her feet like natural earth. And everywhere, the warm golden glow that seemed to come from the very air itself. Commander Aurelius met them just inside the entrance, and Maya had to catch her breath. He was clearly human in basic form, but his skin had a subtle iridescent quality, and his eyes held flecks of gold that moved like liquid. He was tall and moved with fluid grace, wearing clothing that seemed to be made of woven dragon scales in deep blues and silvers. "Welcome aboard the Dragonheart, Maya Chen," he said, bowing formally. "I am honored to meet the one who saved our lost children." Pip and Ember immediately ran to him, making joyful trilling sounds. He knelt and spoke to them in the melodious dragon language, his hands moving in complex gestures that seemed to be part of the communication. Both young dragons responded enthusiastically, their scales flashing in rapid patterns. "They tell me you have been teaching them human words," Commander Aurelius said with amusement, "and that you climb on Ember's back to reach high places. This is considered a great honor among our people." "They're remarkable," Maya said simply. "I've never encountered anything like them. Nor they anything like you, it seems. Come, the Empress wishes to meet you personally." As they walked deeper into the ship, Maya saw more of the dragon people. Some looked almost entirely human, while others showed more obvious draconic traits, elongated features, scales along their arms and faces, eyes that held ancient depths. All of them stopped to watch her pass, and all of them bowed respectfully. "Your people," Maya said carefully. "They're shapeshifters, in a manner of speaking. We are beings who chose long ago to take forms that could walk among the stars as well as soar through skies. Our dragon forms are for flight and ceremony, our humanoid forms for building and exploring, but we are always both." They reached a vast central chamber where the most beautiful being Maya had ever seen waited for them. The Dragon Empress was clearly female, with features that seemed to blend the best of human and dragon heritage. Her skin had the subtle iridescence of dragon scales, her hair flowed like liquid silver, and her eyes held the warm gold of sunlight on water. But it was her presence that truly marked her as royalty. She radiated power and wisdom and ancient kindness that made Maya want to kneel simply from being in the same room. "Maya Chen," the Empress said, her voice like music itself, "you have given us a gift beyond measure. Our children live because of your compassion. How may we honor this debt?" Maya stood before the Dragon Empress, feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of the moment. Pip and Ember had settled at her feet, their warm presence providing comfort in this surreal situation. "Your Majesty," Maya began carefully, "I didn't save them for any reward. They needed help and I had food to share. It's what anyone would have done." The Empress exchanged a meaningful look with Commander Aurelius, and Maya caught the faintest smile crossing the royal features. "You believe this, don't you?" the Empress said gently. "That any being would risk their own survival to feed hungry children, not of their own species. This tells us much about your people, Maya Chen." "My people?" Maya felt a chill of concern. "Are you planning to make contact with humanity?" "That depends," Commander Aurelius interjected, "on what we learn about them from you. Your species is young, newly arrived in this sector of the galaxy. We have been watching, trying to determine if humans can be trusted with the knowledge that they are not alone among the stars." The Empress gestured for Maya to sit on one of the crystalline benches that seemed to grow from the ship's floor. "The dragon people are ancient, Maya Chen. We have seen species rise and fall, civilizations bloom and destroy themselves. We have learned to be cautious about making contact with young races. Some species, Commander Aurelius continued, view difference as threat. They see dragons and think only of conquest, of weapons to be claimed or enemies to be destroyed. Others see us as gods to be worshipped or resources to be exploited. Very few see us simply as people, different but equal. Maya felt the weight of their words settling on her shoulders. You're using me as a test case for humanity. In a way, yes, the Empress admitted, but not as you might think. We are not judging your entire species by your actions alone. Rather, we are trying to understand what kind of future might be possible between our peoples. Pip made a soft sound and nuzzled against Maya's hand. She stroked the small dragon's scales absently, drawing comfort from the contact. What happens if you decide humanity isn't ready for contact? Maya asked. Then we wait, the Empress said simply. Perhaps for generations. We are patient people, Maya-chan. We have learned that forced contact rarely ends well for anyone involved. But what about me? Do I just go back to my mining station and pretend this never happened? Commander Aurelius leaned forward. That is one option. You could return to your solitary life, and we would ensure you had everything you needed to live comfortably. Your memory of us would remain intact, but you would be bound by oath never to reveal our existence to other humans. What are the other options? Maya asked, though she suspected she already knew. The Empress stood and walked to a crystal wall that suddenly became transparent, showing the view outside the ship. Other dragon vessels hung in the sky like living constellations, their scales catching and reflecting the planet's strange light. You could come with us, she said without turning around. Join the dragon people, learn our ways, see the wonders of the galaxy through eyes that have witnessed the birth and death of stars. Pip and Ember have already claimed you as family. Among our people, such bonds are sacred and permanent. Maya's heart raced. What would that mean exactly? It would mean leaving humanity behind, Commander Aurelius said gently. Not just physically, but culturally. You would become one of us in every way that matters. Your lifespan would be extended to match ours. Your body would be altered to allow you to survive in the various environments we call home. You would gain abilities that humans consider magical but which are simply part of our nature. Like healing, Maya said, remembering how Ember had fixed her cut hand. Among others, yes, telepathic communication with other dragons, the ability to share emotions and memories through touch, enhanced physical capabilities, the power to transform, though that would take many years to develop fully. Maya looked down at Pip and Ember, both of whom were watching her with intense concentration. She could swear they understood every word being spoken. There is a third option, the Empress said, turning back to face Maya. One that has never been offered to a member of a young species before. What's that? You could become our ambassador to humanity, a bridge between our species helping to guide the process of eventual contact. You would retain your human identity, while gaining enough of our abilities to serve as an effective intermediary. It would be dangerous work, requiring great wisdom and diplomacy. Maya felt her mind reeling with possibilities. Why are you offering me these choices? I'm nobody special. I'm just an orphan who survived a ship crash. The Empress smiled, and for a moment her ancient eyes showed infinite kindness. Maya Chen, do you know what the rarest quality in the universe is? Not intelligence, though that is valuable. Not strength, though that has its place. Not even courage, though we honor that highly. The rarest quality is unconditional compassion. The ability to see suffering and respond with kindness, regardless of who is suffering or what you might gain from helping them. Commander Aurelius nodded agreement. You found 2 starving alien children and gave them food from your own limited supplies. You sheltered them in your home, learned to communicate with them, made them family. You asked for nothing in return. This is why we offer you choices, Maya Chen. This is why you are worthy of them. Maya felt tears starting to form. I need time to think. Of course, the Empress said. This is not a decision to be made quickly. Take all the time you need. Walk through our ship, meet our people, learn about our ways. Pip and Ember will be your guides. As if summoned by their names, both young dragons stood and moved toward the chamber's exit, clearly expecting Maya to follow. One question, Maya said as she prepared to leave. What are their real names? Pip and Ember? The Empress laughed, a sound like silver bells in a gentle wind. Their true names are long and complex, full of meaning about their lineage and destiny, but they have told us they prefer the names you gave them. Among our people, choosing one's own name is a sign of maturity and independence. You have given them more than food and shelter. Maya Chen, you have given them identity. As Maya followed Pip and Ember out of the chamber, she heard the Empress speak softly to Commander Aurelius in the musical dragon language. She didn't understand the words, but somehow she knew they were talking about hope and futures, and the strange ways the universe sometimes brought exactly the right people together at exactly the right time. Maya spent the rest of the day exploring the dragon ship, each new wonder making her choice more difficult and more important. Maya spent 3 days aboard the Dragonheart, each hour revealing new wonders that challenged everything she thought she knew about life in the universe. Pip and Ember proved to be enthusiastic tour guides, leading her through gardens where impossible plants grew in zero gravity, workshops where dragon artisans crafted tools from crystallized starlight, and libraries containing the accumulated knowledge of millions of years. The dragon people themselves fascinated her even more than their technology. She met scholars who had been alive since before humans discovered fire, warriors who had fought in battles among distant stars, and artists whose work captured the beauty of nebulae and the birth of planets. Yet all of them treated her with the same respectful curiosity they might show to a wise elder. "It's because you saved the children," explained Dr. Lyrelai, a dragon scientist who had taken human form specifically to make Maya more comfortable during their conversations. "Among our people there is no higher honor than being trusted with the care of the young. Your actions mark you as someone of profound character." Maya learned that dragon society was built around concepts that human civilization was only beginning to explore: universal healthcare that actually meant universal, education that continued for centuries, and a form of democracy where decisions were made through collective telepathic consensus, rather than arguing and voting. "We tried the human way once," Dr. Lyrelai said with gentle humor. "Debates, campaigns, competing ideologies. It nearly destroyed us. Now we share thoughts and feelings directly, making decisions based on combined wisdom rather than individual ambition." "Doesn't that eliminate individuality?" Maya asked. "Not at all. Our thoughts remain our own until we choose to share them. But when facing important decisions, why wouldn't we want to combine all available wisdom and experience?" On the second day, Maya witnessed something that left her speechless. Commander Aurelius and several other dragons demonstrated their shape-shifting abilities, flowing seamlessly from human form to their true dragon shapes. Aurelius in dragon form was magnificent, his scales shifting through colors that had no names, his wings spanning nearly 30 meters. But what struck Maya most was that his personality remained exactly the same: kind, thoughtful, slightly amused by her wonder. "The form changes," he explained after transforming back, "but the soul remains constant. We are dragons who can become human-shaped, not the reverse." Pip and Ember were growing visibly larger each day, fed not just by the abundant food on the ship, but by being surrounded by their own kind. Their scales had developed new patterns that Dr. Lyrelai explained, were markers of their developing personalities and abilities. Ember shows strong potential for healing and energy manipulation, she told Maya as they watched. The young dragons play with others their age in a vast recreational chamber. Pip displays remarkable empathic abilities. Both traits are considered great gifts among our people. Will they be able to transform eventually? In perhaps 50 years, they will gain their first human forms. Full shape-shifting mastery takes centuries to develop, but they are already showing signs of advanced intelligence and emotional maturity. Your care during their vulnerable time has accelerated their development significantly. On the third day, the Empress summoned Maya for a private conversation. They met in a smaller chamber that felt somehow alive, its crystal walls pulsing gently with warm light. "You have seen our ways," the Empress said without preamble. "What are your thoughts?" Maya had been preparing for this moment but still found it difficult to put her feelings into words. "Your people are incredible. The way you've structured your society, the technology, the art, the respect you show for all life. It's everything I hoped intelligent species might be like. And yet you are troubled." Maya nodded. "I keep thinking about Earth, about the billions of humans who don't know any of this exists, about the problems we're struggling with that you solved millennia ago. It feels almost cruel to keep this knowledge hidden." The Empress moved to sit beside Maya on the living crystal bench. "This is why we believe you might serve well as an ambassador. You think not just of yourself but of your entire species. Tell me, what do you believe would happen if we made contact with humanity tomorrow?" Maya considered the question seriously. "Honestly, Chaos at first. Fear, religious upheaval, political panic. Some humans would want to fight you. Others would want to worship you. Still others would want to steal your technology or exploit your resources. And in time, I think most humans would adapt. We're good at that. But the transition period would be messy and probably dangerous for everyone involved. The Empress smiled. A wise assessment. Now tell me, what would you do differently? Maya felt an idea crystallizing in her mind, one that had been forming over the past 3 days. Gradual introduction. Start with a few humans, carefully chosen. People who can handle the revelation and help prepare others. Build understanding slowly. Let humanity evolve into readiness rather than forcing it. And how would you choose these first humans? The same way you chose me, Maya realized. Look for actions, not words. Find people who help others without expectation of reward. Scientists who share their discoveries freely. Teachers who dedicate their lives to helping children learn. Leaders who actually serve their people instead of serving themselves. The Empress was quiet for a long moment. You would be willing to take on such a task? To spend perhaps decades slowly preparing your species for contact? It would mean living between worlds, never fully belonging to either. Maya thought of Pip and Ember, of the kindness she had been shown by the dragon people, of the incredible future that could await humanity if contact was handled correctly. I would need help, she said finally. I'm not a diplomat or a scientist or a leader. I'm just someone who knows how to take care of others. That may be exactly what this task requires, the Empress replied. Would you accept modifications to your physiology? Extended lifespan, enhanced abilities, the power to prove to selected humans that magic and technology can coexist? Maya's heart raced. What about Pip and Ember? They have requested to remain with you as companions and helpers. Among our people, such bonds are considered sacred. If you accept this role, they will be your partners in building the bridge between our species. Maya looked around the chamber, seeing in its living walls a reflection of the choice before her. She could remain purely human and return to her simple life. She could become fully dragon and leave humanity behind, or she could become something new, something between worlds, something that might help two species find each other safely. There's something else, she said suddenly. If I'm going to help prepare humanity for contact, I need to understand the risks better. What if some humans can't handle the truth? What if they try to hurt dragons or spread panic? The Empress's expression grew more serious. These are real dangers, Maya Chen. There will be humans who see our existence as threat to their beliefs, their power, or their understanding of the universe. As our ambassador, you would face opposition, disbelief, and quite possibly personal danger. But you believe it's worth trying. We believe you are worth trusting with the attempt. The final decision, however, must be yours alone. Maya closed her eyes and felt the gentle warmth of the ship around her, heard the distant sounds of dragons living and working together in harmony, thought of her 2 young companions who had trusted her with their lives. When she opened her eyes, her choice was clear. The Empress smiled, and for a moment the chamber around them seemed to pulse with approval. Then let us begin your transformation, Maya Chen. What we offer you is not just longer life, but a deeper understanding of the connections that bind all living things. The process took place in a sacred chamber deep within the ship, where crystal formations held the accumulated wisdom of the dragon people. Maya lay on a living platform that seemed to grow from the floor itself, while Pip and Ember curled up on either side of her. Their presence provided comfort as the Empress and her healers began the careful work of altering Maya's biology. You will feel no pain, the Empress assured her. Only warmth and a sense of expansion. We are not changing who you are, merely enhancing what you can become. The transformation was unlike anything Maya could have imagined. She felt her consciousness expanding, touching the minds of the dragons around her, sensing their emotions and thoughts like distant music. Her body grew stronger, more resilient, able to process different atmospheres and survive in various gravitational fields. Most remarkably, she felt new pathways opening in her mind, connections that would allow her to demonstrate dragon abilities to humans who needed proof of what was possible. When it was complete, Maya sat up feeling fundamentally the same, but somehow more. The world around her had gained new dimensions of perception. She could sense the life force flowing through the ship, feel the emotional states of every dragon aboard, and even catch glimpses of the vast network of connections that linked dragon minds across the galaxy. How do you feel? Commander Aurelius asked. Maya flexed her fingers, watching tiny sparkles of energy dance across her skin. Like myself, but more complete. Like I've been living with only half my senses my whole life. Pip and Ember both made happy sounds and nuzzled against her. She could feel their emotions directly now, their joy at her transformation mixing with her own excitement about the future. The Empress handed Maya a small crystal pendant. This will allow you to communicate with us instantly across any distance. More importantly, it will serve as proof to humans that you speak with our authority. When activated, it will translate our language and project holographic records of our meetings. Over the following weeks, Maya worked with dragon scholars and diplomats to develop a careful plan for contact. They identified potential first contacts among human leadership, scientists who had theorized about alien life, and individuals whose actions suggested they could handle revolutionary knowledge responsibly. "We start small," Maya explained to Commander Aurelius as they reviewed the plans. A physicist who's been searching for faster-than-light travel, a philosopher who's written about interspecies ethics, a few carefully chosen leaders who've shown wisdom in handling cultural differences. We give them just enough proof to know it's real, then let them help us plan the next steps. And if some react badly, then we slow down or stop completely. The dragons have waited this long. Humanity's not going anywhere. Dr. Lirali had been working on a special project for Maya's mission. We've created a modified shuttle that appears to be advanced human technology, rather than obviously alien design. You'll be able to travel between worlds without immediately revealing our existence. The shuttle was beautiful in its deceptive simplicity. To human eyes, it would appear to be a remarkable but believable advancement in spacecraft design. Only close examination would reveal the living elements that made it truly dragon technology. As the time came for Maya to begin her mission, the entire dragon fleet gathered to wish her well. She stood in the main bay of the Dragonheart, wearing clothing that looked human but was woven with dragon silk that would protect her from almost any harm. Pip and Ember, now notably larger and more mature, stood beside her with their own special equipment. Dr. Lirali had created translation devices that would allow them to speak to humans in their own language, and holographic projectors that could disguise their true nature when necessary. "Remember," the Empress said in her farewell address, "you carry the hopes of two species now. Trust your instincts, move carefully, and know that we will be watching and ready to help if needed." Maya's first destination was the university where Dr. Elena Vasquez, a xenobiologist, had been publishing papers about the possibility of non-carbon-based life forms. Maya had read her work and been impressed by the scientists' open-minded approach to unusual possibilities. The landing was perfect, touching down just outside the university at dawn, when few people would witness the shuttle's arrival. Maya, Pip, and Ember made their way to Dr. Vasquez's lab, where the scientist was already at work despite the early hour. Maya knocked softly on the lab door. When Dr. Vasquez answered, her eyes widened at the sight of Maya's obviously alien companions. "Dr. Vasquez," Maya said calmly, "my name is Maya Chen. I believe you've been looking for evidence of extraterrestrial life. I'm here to tell you that you've found it." Instead of screaming or fainting, Dr. Vasquez looked at Pip and Ember with scientific fascination. "They're beautiful," she said simply.
"Are they
intelligent?" Pip stepped forward and in perfectly clear English said, "Hello, Dr. Vasquez. We are very pleased to meet you. Maya has told us much about your work." Dr. Vasquez staggered backward, then began to laugh with pure delight. "This is the most wonderful day of my life," she said. "Please come in. I have about 1,000,000 questions." As Maya, Pip, and Ember settled into the lab chairs that Dr. Vasquez quickly provided, Maya felt a deep sense of rightness about their choice. This was how contact should begin, with wonder and joy rather than fear. "Dr. Vasquez," Maya said, "how would you like to help change the course of human history?" Over the following months, Maya's careful work bore fruit. One by one, selected humans were introduced to the reality of the dragon people. Scientists who had spent their careers searching for life among the stars wept with joy. Philosophers found their wildest theories confirmed. Leaders began to understand the incredible responsibility of guiding humanity toward a larger universe. Not every contact went smoothly. Some humans couldn't handle the revelation and had to have their memories carefully modified. Others tried to exploit the knowledge for personal gain and had to be dealt with more firmly. But slowly, carefully, a network of humans began to form who understood what was coming and were helping to prepare for it. Maya's Greatest success came when she convinced the United Nations to establish a secret committee on extraterrestrial contact. Half the committee members were humans who had been gradually introduced to the truth. The other half were dragons in human form, working together to plan for the day when open contact could be safely made. 2 years after her transformation, Maya stood on the observation deck of a new space station, built through secret cooperation between human and dragon engineers. Pip and Ember, now magnificent adolescent dragons, flew through the space around the station in forms that no longer needed any disguise. She activated her crystal pendant and felt the warm presence of the Empress in her mind. How do you judge our progress? Maya-chen? Maya watched human and dragon engineers working side by side on the station's exterior, their cooperation made possible by months of careful introduction and growing trust. Humanity is almost ready, she replied. Not all of us, but enough. I think it's time to start planning for open contact. The Empress's pleasure flowed through the mental connection. Then let us begin the next phase of your remarkable work. Maya smiled, watching Pip execute a perfect aerial loop while Ember raced alongside, and knew that the universe had just become a much more interesting place for both species. The lonely orphan who had fed 2 hungry dragon babies was now the bridge between worlds, and the future stretched ahead full of infinite possibilities.